What's going on, everybody? It's AG here. Let's go ahead and preview the Sweet 16 of the NCAA Tournament. We're going to break down all the matchups here. I'm going to give you my picks and my predictions. Haven't had just a ton of upsets so far in the tournament. All power conferences left. And I don't know if that's the way we're headed, with the new NIL, with teams constantly elevating their conference, as far as going to the power conferences. We'll see. Hopefully not. Hopefully Cinderella isn't over. Because this year's so-called Cinderella is probably Arkansas. So not just a ton of, mid-majors or anything. No mid-majors to speak of here. But let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off here in the South region, Auburn and Michigan. Pretty good size between both these teams. Michigan, Dusty May's done a good job there in year one. He's got Danny Wolf. He's got Vlad Goldin. They had Roddy Yale from Ohio State go off last game. Ton of transfers. Dusty May, I think, one of the best in the country at coaching right now. And you really look at across the board here at all these coaches, minus a couple, there are pretty much the mainstays of the best coaches in the country sprinkled throughout the Sweet 16. But I'll probably do a ranking for that later on in the week as far as the Sweet 16 coaches. But as of now, Auburn and Michigan, like I said, Dusty May's done a good job in Michigan. Auburn, heck of a year so far. Under Bruce Pearl. Now, they didn't really struggle at all in the first couple rounds. I mean, round one kind of came slow out of the gates. Second round kind of handled Clayton for the most part. They didn't have too much besides Ron Cockburner. Auburn, though, depends on their health. They had a couple guys get a little banged up against Clayton. Looks like Auburn is favored 8.5. Chad Baker Mazara, that's the one that got banged up a little bit against Clayton. But interesting matchup here. Contrast the styles as far as Michigan, the way they play with their bigs. I like the way they play, like letting Wolf bring it up some, almost like a Jokic type point guard. Now, I don't think they're going to be able to have success down low as they should have, in the first couple rounds with Vlad Goldin because Auburn is pretty big themselves. But looking at their matchups here as far as results, Auburn wins over Houston, North Carolina, the number one overall seed in the country. Auburn, really good year. Wins over Tennessee as well, and Alabama. As for Michigan, a lot of close games. Wins over Purdue, a team that's still in it. One over Maryland, another team that's still in it. Wisconsin, team that just lost. You can see here losses to Michigan State, scored 62 on both of them. I like Michigan, their style of play, but as fast as Auburn plays, as good as they are, you got to give me Auburn in this one. But I wouldn't be shocked if Michigan somehow pulled off the upset. Ole Miss, Michigan State, 24-11 for Mississippi State, 29-6 for Michigan State. I said Mississippi State, Ole Miss. Ole Miss actually favoring this one. That's kind of a shocker. 2.5. That's a little recency bias probably. Now, Ole Miss did look really good last game against Iowa State. Now, the Chris Beard effect is real. One of the best coaches in the country. You got him versus Tom Izzo here. Really good matchup with that. Ole Miss, though, as good as Padula has been playing in the tournament, they don't have a guy to go get them a bucket, I don't think, when they need it. Now, that can be good or bad. You can have mismatches because the defense doesn't know who to match up with because you don't have a dude. But also that can come in to bite you at the end of games if you don't have a guy to just go get you a bucket when you need one. Notable results for Ole Miss: win over Alabama, win over Tennessee. So that's two of the teams left. Really good wins there. Win over Iowa State, we just talked about. As for Michigan State, wins over Illinois, Purdue, a team still alive, Maryland, a team still alive. So a pretty good matchup here. Good defenses, not the best offenses. Michigan State did struggle in round 1 and 2. They beat Bryant pretty handily, but they did struggle a little bit for a little bit. And then in round 2, New Mexico, they kind of gave them all they could handle. I'm going to take Ole Miss in this one. I like the way they're playing. I had them in my Elite 8 in the beginning, or at least the Sweet 16. I think I might have had them losing to Marquette. But I like the way Ole Miss is playing. Their defense is really good. They're not big. That could be a problem, but Michigan State isn't huge themselves, so I don't think that's going to pose much of a problem. So give me Ole Miss in that one. Now, I do think Ole Miss will struggle if they did make it to Auburn because Auburn is so big. Same thing with Michigan. So give me Auburn in that one. Moving down to the West, Florida and Maryland. Florida come from behind win against UConn. Really had to struggle to get that one out. Maryland, last second shot against Colorado State. Did Queen travel? Maybe. Might have taken 3 steps, but that's up for debate, I guess. I would have probably called it travel, but hit the buzzer beater nonetheless. Florida favored by, 5.5. Now, Florida, the one thing I like about them is when they don't have an answer, they just give Walter Clayton the ball and get out of the way, and he finds a bucket. Maryland, they love their two bigs. You've got Reese and you've got Queen, both monsters down low. Florida's got some size themselves. As for Florida, wins over Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama, all teams still in the tournament. As for Maryland, you can see here results first team still alive. Lost to Purdue, lost to Michigan State. Um, as good as Maryland has played this year, I think Florida's just too much. They play so fast and they're just good, man. I like the way they play under Todd Goldin. I've been impressed. Give me Florida in that one. Tech, Arkansas. I think this is one of the more interesting matchups. It's more of a 50-50 one. Tech favored by 5.5. I think a big question for Arkansas is going to be, does Thiero come back? Both of these guys that you see here for Arkansas have been injured this year. Boogie Flan kind of coming back on the rotation. Thiero has been out on this tournament run, but they've actually played pretty good without him. I've been impressed with their big guys that they have down low. They can run some high-low action. They got in foul trouble in the last game. Brazil and I can't think of those guys' name off the top of my head. Adou and Brazil. I've been really impressed with them. Adou transferred from Tennessee. If you see him, you'll probably recognize him from last year's run with Tennessee. But I've been impressed with Arkansas's bigs. I think they're going to be able to slow down Tech and JT Toppin just because they have so much size. But Tech, really good year so far. Wins over Arizona and Houston, two teams still alive. As for Arkansas, you can see how they've struggled through the year in terms of good teams. You know, big loss to Tennessee, big loss to Florida, but they've been really up and down. I think they're playing pretty freaking good right now. Give me Arkansas. I might be wrong on this one, Tech. I like the way they play. I like the way they push the pace. But I like Arkansas's guys. I think they've got a good slew of transfers. They're deep. They've got like a 10-guy rotation they can throw in. Janelle Davis has been here before with that run at FAU. Give me Arkansas. Now, when it comes down to Florida, Arkansas, I think Florida's playing too good right now, so give me Florida. Duke, Arizona. Duke probably playing the best basketball in the country right now. They're huge and look almost unbeatable. Arizona, though, kind of tried to throw it away down the stretch against Oregon, but they look good as well. They've got multiple guards that have been here before. Jaden Bradley, Caleb Love. You've got Trey Townsend from Oakland. I like Arizona's guards as far as being older in comparison to Duke. Duke is pretty young, minus Tyrese Proctor, and that may come into factor here, but Duke is just so big, and they've got so many NBA draft guys. As far as results, they have played once this year at the beginning of the year. Duke won by 14. Did beat Auburn by 6. And then Arizona, as far as teams that are still alive, you've got a win over Tech, multiple wins over Tech, excuse me. And then, let's see, losses to Houston, 62-58, 72-64. Now, I will admit, in my first bracket preview, I had Arizona going to the Final Four. I think it's still a possibility because I think Caleb Love is good enough to go off for one game and just completely knock down Duke. But Duke just looks so dominant right now, and they're just so much bigger than everybody. I got to go with Duke. I don't think they're going to get beat anytime soon. BYU, Alabama, another good matchup here. BYU favored by 5.5. Wow. Okay. BYU impressed me from what I've watched. I really like their style of offense, the way they spread it around. Kind of crumbled down the stretch last game. They threw out one of their players, and they kind of almost came back to get them there in the end. But I've been impressed with their offense. As far as results on the year, went over Arizona, wins over Iowa State, Kansas, lost to Houston both times pretty handily. Alabama, I think they're kind of getting back into form. They have struggled, but same areas. I mean, there was never really in doubt. They're kind of slowly getting Grant Nelson back in the grand scheme of things. One's over Houston. Let's see, a win over Auburn. I like this is going to be a high scoring game. First off, this might be pushing 100 on each team. They're going to be running and gunning all game. I think Alabama's a little more seasoned. They've been deep before in the tournament, so I got to go Alabama, but I wouldn't be shocked if BYU somehow pulls off the upset in this one. Then when it comes to Duke, Alabama, I got to take Duke. I think they're just too good right now. They're playing too good. Houston, Purdue. Purdue had a good run. They beat McNeese State pretty handily in that second round matchup. I didn't know if they would, but McNeese, because the way McNeese rolled, who'd they roll? Clemson. I don't know if they'd be able to, but Purdue has a big guy down low, Trey Kaufman run. I've been impressed with him. Braden Smith too, man. He's all over the place. I know in years past they've struggled when they had Zach Edey. Like if they got pressed, they were absolutely screwed. So I do still question their guard play a little bit when it comes to that. But Braden Smith has looked the part so far. But Houston has a ton of guards they can throw at you to give you issues. Purdue results on the year, wins over Alabama and Maryland, both teams that are still alive. Michigan, another team that's still alive. So that's multiple wins over teams that are still in the tournament. As for Houston, lost to Auburn, lost to Alabama, beat Arizona, beat Tech. So, I mean, this is a pretty good matchup here. I think Houston, with their guard play, because minus Braden Smith, Purdue doesn't seem to have much beside Hilton, Kaufman, or Wren. So give me Houston here. But Purdue, they're playing pretty good. They could beat them. Kentucky, Tennessee. Kentucky, Mark Pope's done a heck of a job in year one at Kentucky. The way he's got these guys playing, Owen Owe, is absolutely balling right now. As for Tennessee, you've got Ziegler, Lanier. They've got a ton of guards that they can throw at you. Tennessee, let's see, results on the year. Close loss to Auburn, beat Florida, beat Bama, beat Auburn. So they've beaten arguably three of the best teams in the country right there with Florida, Bama, and Auburn. As for Kentucky, kind of up and down at times, are one of the few teams that have beaten Duke, though. So that's of note right there. Beat Gonzaga. Now, the big thing right here, they have beaten Tennessee twice all year. Now, it's hard to beat a tough team 3 times, they say, a good team 3 times. But at the same time, I'd rather be on that side of the coin if I'm a coach. I would definitely rather be the team that have won twice instead of losing twice. Now, it doesn't give you as much to work on, but I would still rather have won the game. Now, the only thing with that is it wasn't a tournament game, so how hyped up were you? And the thing with this, Mark Pope, before this year, hasn't won a tournament game, but at the same time, Rick Barnes usually doesn't go on runs in the tournament. He struggled to make that national championship run. I got to go Tennessee here. I like their guard play right now with Ziegler and Lanier, but this is going to be a good game right here. Could be 50-50. Houston, Tennessee, right now, Tennessee is playing pretty good. Yeah, I think I got to go Tennessee on that one. They're playing good enough right now. Houston always seems to crumble down the stretch somehow. Then when it comes to Final Fours, with how these two teams are playing, I'd have to go Duke. And then Florida, Auburn, man, that's a toss-up. Give me Auburn. And this would be an absolute showdown if we did get this championship. I'd probably go Duke right now, but originally I picked Auburn. But that is my current Sweet 16 breakdown. Let me know yours. Who do you got winning all the games this week? Who's your Final Four? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.